Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today's vlog, I'm gonna take you down on my Friday, fun Friday in second grade. I've got my jeans on, I've got my comfy shoes on, and I am ready to start this Friday. This week has been an interesting week. I'm gonna also be sharing with you like this week's happenings, some things that are new in second grade. I'll take you guys about on my week and what's been happening here in second grade. It's been interesting, it's been fun, and I'm just gonna update you guys just a little bit too on my status. So today is actually my last day, excuse me. Today is actually my last day here at the school in second grade. I'm still working on, or they're still working on getting a substitute or a replacement for second grade, but it's actually my last day here. So the next week is going to be honestly preparation for my next classroom, preparation for my next adventure, which is going to be in North Carolina. I'm going to be in a third grade classroom. I'm super excited. I haven't taught third grade, so I'm really excited about that. There's the bell for high school. So I'm really excited about going to North Carolina and starting with them on the 28th is like my official first day. So I'm not sure where my vlogs are gonna come in. I might be vlogging from somewhere else, just updating you guys on what's going on. But for now, that's all the announcement I have, but I did want to share that with you really quickly that this is my last day. So I am still making it like a normal school day, our normal schedule and all of that, but we did have some fun things going on, and this week has been crazy busy too. We've had a field trip, we've had I've had parents come in, I've had other things going on, and it's just been so much fun. So I'm gonna take you guys through all of that and just tell you guys about it and what's been happening in second grade. Okay, so this morning I came in and I was feeling good, I was feeling okay. And then I've got this scratchy voice again. All my students are coughing and sneezing, so I'm hoping that I'm not coming down with something, but so if you notice a little bit of a change in my voice, it's because I've got like this scratchy kind of germ around me, and so I'm feeling fine though. I don't feel sick or anything, but so it's a Friday, of course. I'm wearing my jeans, I'm wearing comfy shoes, and it has been a great start of the day. A little bit of a change in my morning routine, and every time there's a change in the morning routine and just like the morning in general, my students act a little bit different. They're just expecting the same things in the same way anyway. Every day. So this morning we had a COGAT test, and it's basically a test, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a test for gifted and talented, and just like it's a computerized test, and they take it on the computer with their headphones, and it like reads it to them or explains it to them, and then they select the answers that they need to, and then it's over. So that took about like I would want to say like a whole 45-minute process. So it took up a lot of my reading time, and then after that we only had like 45 minutes left, and I was gonna do stations, and then I remembered, oh yes, we finished the Winn-Dixie chapter book, and let me grab that. And the Winn-Dixie chapter book we finished last week, or no, actually Monday. We finished the last chapter on Monday. And then I promised my students that we'd compare and contrast to the movie, because this one, they made a movie from this one, and then there's pictures in here actually of the movie. So I told my students we'd watch the movie today on a Friday, and so I went ahead and played that. We didn't finish it before they went to specials and lunch, so when they get back from specials and lunch, we're gonna go ahead and finish that movie. But I wanted my students to make a comparison, to compare and contrast. My watch is going off, but I've got emails coming in. I wanted my students to compare and contrast from the chapter book we read together as a read aloud to the movie. And guys, I have been hearing some amazing conversations in, excuse me, some amazing conversations as the movie's playing. They're making connections, they're comparing from events that are happening in the movie to comparing events that are happening in the text. I have just been hearing some amazing conversations, and it really, really brings me joy because chapter books aren't always easy to read to a whole group of 21 kids. And I was afraid that they weren't going to make so many connections, but thankfully it hasn't dragged on that long. It's been a couple weeks. I try to read a chapter a day, and then I think there was 1 week that I really didn't read that much. So I was kind of afraid that a lot of the events they were going to forget, but I'm so excited that they didn't, and it's just been really great to hear those connections. But enough of me chattering, and let me show you what I've got going on for them and what they're going to be doing with the comparison contrast. I found some free, thankfully, free resources on Teachers Pay Teachers that allow them to compare and contrast, and then I found a scrapbook that they can use. So this is the paper or page I found for the compare and contrast, and it's the movie versus the book. It says the directions, and then I love that the way it's the visual of it. Both is in a star, and then they have some examples in each one so that they can make those connections and be able to do it on their own. So in only the book, it has Opal had red hair, and in this particular book, we didn't read like the older version of it, so that's something that I'll have to talk to them about, like in different versions of the book. Opal had red hair. Both the book and the movie both had a dog named Winn-Dixie, and then in only the movie, Opal had blonde hair, and of course that's like the book that we're reading, the Opal had blonde hair. So I'm going to be giving them this in the second part of the movie, which is when they return, so that they're able to have this and the clipboard and sit at the carpet and watch the rest of the movie and be able to make those comparisons. And then I have this fun scrapbook that I found, and I'd have to get back to you on who where I got this from, but it is from a literature unit on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it was free. I did have to browse through it, but I can't tell you who it was from, so maybe I'll just put it in the description down below. But the Opal Summer Scrapbook is from Classroom in the Middle, and it looks like this, super cute. I absolutely love scrapbooks. I'm a scrapbook fan. If only I had more time to scrapbook, but they're going to make a scrapbook from it, and she includes the pictures in it or the pages in it already for you, and then the students are supposed to write in each of the sections like if it were a scrapbook. So it says Opal had kept a suppose Opal had kept a scrapbook about her first summer in Naomi, what do you think she would have written by in each picture? So there's a picture, and then there's a spot for them to write, and then there's 2 pages of it. One is empty, so they can add their pictures, and then some of them have the picture already. So it has the candy wrapper, which is a very special thing within the book, and pink and orange party streamers. So each one has a special moment that represents in the book and in the movie. So the students are supposed to like write in the lines about those moments, and like what, in her own words, or putting themselves in the perspective or the point of view of Opal, what would they say if she had a scrapbook. So I'm really excited to see what they write, because we are starting a personal narrative unit, and we have been talking about characters' point of views, which is part of our unit in general for the next 3 weeks. And characters facing challenges is something that we've been talking about, so character's point of view. So it's really interesting to be able to see what they're going to be writing in these scrapbook pages. Now, I don't expect them to finish this, so I might have to extend this into homework next week, and maybe even let them watch the movie again at home over the weekend, or make those connections later on next week. So that's what I have going on. I'm going to be putting the scrapbook pages into like a book form, and I'm just using construction paper, so I'm gonna fold it in half. Well, actually, I think I might fold it in half and then fold it in half again so that it fits. And then using the front cover of the scrapbook the resource, I want them to cut out this picture, and then if they'd like to, they can cut out Opal's summer scrapbook, and then that's going to be their cover page of their scrapbook. So that's gonna be, I'm really excited on how it's going to turn out and how it's going to look. So I'm going to go ahead and do one for myself as an example, and then so that I can show students how to do it themselves. And that's what I have going on this morning. Well, what I had going on this morning, and now we're at lunchtime. So I'm gonna have them continue it when they return from lunchtime and specials. And then this afternoon we have math. We have a lot of science things going on, but I'll tell you guys more about it in just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and make these scrapbooks so that I have an example for my students later on today. Went ahead and made this scrapbook and finished it up. So I put the picture up here and the title, and then it opens up into like a little book. So I put these here, and then the ones in the back, and then the last part I actually glued in the compare and contrast. So I actually want them to write on the pages before they glue everything in. So gluing it in and making the book will be the last part. So that way they can keep this. And it's kind of like a memory of all the things that we did with Winn-Dixie as far as this comparing, contrasting, and the scrapbook pages. So I'm really excited to see how these turn out. And of course, if they don't finish, I think that'll be okay to carry it on over to next week or finish it up, or they could take it for homework and finish the movie at another time. So this is what they'll be doing this afternoon. And for math today, we are starting on a new chapter. We're continuing our lessons in number concepts. So, or number concepts, numbers to 1,000. And we're continuing our lesson through talking about, yesterday we talked about different names for numbers, and I think it went really great. My students did a really good job at making those connections because we had been talking about it so much in the value of a number, and I think those lessons carried over. I had a parent come in yesterday, and he was helping around in the classroom, so that went perfectly because I wanted to make sure my students understood the concept. So when we did the exit ticket, that parent went around and helped and gave some more examples where needed. So today we're going to be talking about counting patterns within 100. So I'm excited to see that and do that with my students. It's a one-day lesson, and then they do a 2-day lesson with numbers to 1,000. Or counting patterns from numbers to 1,000. I wanted to do numbers to 100 chart, but since we go all the way to 1,000, I think I'm going to do a digital version, and then we'll do it as an interactive lesson because besides the fact that the curriculum already has the digital ebook, and I can write on it and make it into interactive lesson using a technology, but I do want to print out one for my students to have the hundreds chart in their composition books or in their workstation folders, at least in the math section, because it is something that they're going to be needing and using, and I think it'll be really helpful for some students who have that difficulty anyway with that concept of 100 or adding and subtracting, and they can definitely use that hundreds chart. So that would be like that's a 2-part lesson, the counting patterns to 100, and then they'll start doing counting patterns from numbers to 1,000. And yeah, so far we've done with place value and with different names for different ways to write, and different values of numbers, different ways to find the value of a number. We've done a scarecrow, we've done expanded monsters, expanded monsters. I showed you guys that in a different, or last week's vlog. And we've done the we did the scarecrow, and they came out super cute. I love that they're able to transfer that knowledge into something more creative. So those were a lot of fun. Today we don't have anything crafty because we've already got like our time taken up in some other areas, and we got to get to science as well this afternoon. So we'll be just doing our lesson and doing our regular rotations this afternoon, and so we'll continue on with our lesson. So let me see what I need to get planning, clean up here, pass these out, maybe even cut these out at least, or pre-cut them, and then I will catch up with you guys in a little bit. It is now the end of the day. I am completely exhausted, but I wanted to share that I actually changed the scrapbook page to look a little bit different because I felt like the other one was just so much work. Like you had to fold it and all that, so it was too much work. And it was taking up too much time. So I did this one instead. And I folded the brown paper in half, and then, oops, that came out. And then we put these on each side, and I had 2 to fit on each page. So, and then on the front, the picture, and so it kind of looks similar, but it looks just a little bit different that it's not several little pages, it's just one big one. And then on the compare and contrast, they just stuck this inside. This activity turned out a little bit more difficult than I thought, and of course it was kind of in the back of my mind because we are focusing in on compare and contrast. So it was a bit more of a practice, and we do it every single Thursday according to our curriculum. It's part of the day 4 activity in comparing and contrasting our closed reading text. So I went ahead and did this with them because I really wanted them to understand that we're comparing and contrasting, or finding the similarities and differences in the both Winn-Dixie book and the movie. So I went ahead and did this with them, and they were able to get a better understanding as we were doing it. They started making those connections and separating the differences and putting what was similar in the middle. So it all turned out really well. I think all of them really enjoyed it, and finding the or writing in the perspective of Opal was just a little bit more challenging than I expected, but of course we're still practicing that skill. We actually touch on that skill several times throughout the year, which is really good for them. So it's making them better readers, and that's what the goal is in projects and reading and whatnot. So was really excited about this, and they were excited to have a book of their own to keep, and they wanted to take it home today, but we're taking it home next week. And so yeah, this is what it turned out, and I really enjoyed this activity. I strongly recommend doing these comparisons with movies and books that you read in your classroom, because it really gets them and encourages them to read these chapter books that they find and not just go straight to the movie. Okay, so it is now the end of the day, and finally I planned a little bit, and I cleaned up the classroom, but I wanted to share with you some things that happened this week. As I was sharing earlier, we went on a field trip to the police station, and it was so much fun. My students had a fantastic time. They made some connections to what we've been learning about government at work, and they just had a really good time. They love sharing their knowledge on what they knew about police officers and their equipment and their jobs, why and what do criminals do when they come in. So lots of great things they shared with the people that were there, at the police officers that are actually military. So then they took us from the station, then they took us out to the tour at the car, and that was so much fun. They did the whole sirens, the whole microphone, and students were screaming out hilarious things, honestly. And then we went and walked to the boat station where students toured the police boat, and that was exciting too. They got to hold or touch a gun and or a rifle, and then the one that was attached to the boat, and then they got to ride in the boat, put the safety jacket that they wear, wore the safety helmet, and got to explore the mechanics and all of the motor that was the motor and what was inside the boat. So lots of great things that they learned from our field trip, and it was so much fun. I had three chaperones and myself, so there's 4 of us, and it was a lot. It was a really great field trip. I'm really happy that I went ahead and planned a field trip for them, because I don't know if they'll be having one this year because they'll have a new teacher, so who knows. But anyways, some other things that happen in the classroom are science. Our science is growing and changing. The caterpillars are now went into their chrysalis, and I changed my science area up a little bit so that there's more space, and I took home my STEM bins and stuff, so there's more space back there, and I'm kind of liking that little nook over there. It's like a science corner, and I filled it with the posters of all of our insects and what our plants are blooming, and just everything looks really great. It's super exciting seeing everything, and the first thing that my students do when they come in is go straight to see their plants, their mealworms, their milkweed bugs, the caterpillars in their chrysalis, the silkworms, and they just love that area. I really enjoy having that in the classroom, and hands-on science, yes please. So some other things that happened this week is that a parent brought in, as you know, we've been celebrating Spanish Heritage Month, and I think I mentioned it in my last vlog that this week we're gonna have a piñata. Well, 2 parents came, and a dear friend of mine, and they brought in a piñata, and they brought some cookies for us. They were so good, and the piñata was so much fun. My students had so much fun. That morning we had a read aloud, and we had music with it, and it was just so much fun. They really enjoyed bringing in that culture in the classroom, and then we had the piñata like the last 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the day, and it was just a pull string, and they got in a line, they had the piñata, and the candy came out, and then they had a cookie, and it was a lot of fun to end the celebration of Spanish Heritage Month. I didn't get a chance to have them present their heritage project, but I did have them, or I'm going to have them take it home. I really enjoyed reading it, but it just didn't allow us for them to present it. But it's something that I do encourage others to do in their classroom. You do want to have them use their presentation skills or speaking skills in the classroom, and just encourage them to share that with their group, with a small group, or in the front of the classroom. Really great ways to incorporate that into your lesson. But we just didn't get a chance to do it, and that's okay. But the piñata was just so much fun, and it was just a really great way to end that celebration part. But of course, it's never too late to incorporate culture into the classroom consistently in different ways. You can just add like 5 minutes a day, different cultures. For Christmas, I do Christmas all around the world, and that's a different way I incorporate culture as well. And just don't let it be like that one thing or one-time thing. It's really honestly something that you should do all year round, and that's just in my opinion, that I think it's something that you should incorporate all year round. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna take home is my yoga balls. I have to take these bad boys with me. I don't know how to deflate them actually. I think you just pop the little thing out, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna be taking my yoga balls with me because I'm gonna be using them in my next classroom, hoping to implement the flexible seating just like I did last year. I didn't get to do it this year because I wasn't gonna be here the whole year. So I didn't want to have it and then they don't have it, but I did have my yoga balls in the computer area and they absolutely loved it. So I know that my next group in 3rd grade is going to too. And I only have 2 yoga balls, so I think I'm gonna pack those out with another shipment and then just get some when I arrive to North Carolina. But I just love these yoga balls. If you are a fan of flexible seating, please leave a comment down below. I have to contact you and get some ideas from you, or just share some ideas down below on how you use it. And yeah, so I'm really excited to take my yoga balls with me, making sure I did pack out like 1 or 2 of them. I think it was 1, probably almost deflated because it was in my garage, but that's okay. And I know that I can hunt down them from 5 and below. I think I've heard that they have pretty decent amount size and price range of the yoga balls. So I definitely do the yoga balls because they do allow my students to have more mobility, and I definitely have those students that need that, and so I'm taking them with me. And I'm pretty much all packed out. My Boo Books little container thing, I have to take that with me too, and then there's a cart that I'm taking, but that's pretty much it. Everything else will stay. Some things like I created, like the jobs, will stay, and other things that I created will probably stay. I don't want this room to look plain when I leave, so I think that a lot of the stuff will stay. And my flowers that I made at the beginning of the year, if you remember those, that I made with a friend of mine, those will stay. And I'm like, I really want to take them, but I don't think I need to. I can make some more, and it really makes the classroom pop out, and they just remember it as their home sweet classroom with their class family here. So I'm gonna leave the flowers here so they can bloom with 2nd grade. Alright guys, that is all I have for you for this week's happenings, and I'm gonna go ahead and get going and and start my weekend. Today is actually the Fall Festival. I absolutely love the Fall Festival, even though it probably looks a lot different than when it's actually fall somewhere else, where you have like the hay rides and the pumpkins out, but I'll take what I can get. So they're gonna have at the school here, they have a Fall Festival, and they have like games, and they have food, and it's really fun to see everybody involved in the community and doing some stuff with their kids. And I love bringing my kids too, and my littlest one, we just run around after him, but that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my weekend off. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and being with me in my classroom on this wonderful Friday, and I hope that something that I said encouraged you and motivated or even inspired you to do something in your classroom or with your little ones at home even. That is the whole purpose in my vlogs, that I love sharing with you guys some things that I do, and just kind of motivating you. So I hope some of that rubbed off and you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up for me. And if you are not just yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe down below. Click that notification bell if you want to be part of my community here in Home Sweet Classroom. Thank you so much guys from the bottom of my heart for listening and watching this vlog. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.